I did lo-fi music today versus chill music.
Okay. Is that just
So
a post launch week de-stress?
pretty much, I don't know. I was just going through all these different things. There's atmosphere. What do
Oh,
we got?
very
Let's see.
cool.
It's very eerie, very eerie.
Yeah,
But
wind chimey, almost like a um horror movie. I don't know, a little bit.
yeah, I don't want that. So let's pause that. um, well, I mean, we're back down to those single digits. Single digit viewers on Weekly Wednesday. It's great. Well, hey everybody. Um, it's great.
I feel
I
like
think our Discord wasn't activated on this one.
yes. I will send out.
Oh, that's cool. So now I see when I go to the Discord in the top left where there's events, it shows event details. So anyone that's in the Discord right now can see that. That's cool. Very, very cool. Very cool. Um, awesome.
Sweet. Well, most people watch these after the fact anyway.
Yeah.
So hello to everybody who's clicking on this and
Oh,
watching it.
Mark's in the chat. Hey, Mark.
Mark,
How's it going?
we're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
we're good.
Lots.
Last few days have been a little bit more, little breather for us after launch week, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and this weekend for sure, a little bit of breather, which was nice. But back at it. We're yeah, back at it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
But sorry, everybody, we don't have 5 features to announce today.
we don't. But
But
I mean, talk about feet. Like I don't know if anyone else in this uh, in the chat is super stays involved with like all the AI news in the world. But two big things that came out this week. If you haven't done it, this is for all the creators out there. Normally, Jason was like, "Hey, don't get too technical on this stuff because everybody, our audiences aren't the tech nerds." But this one's relevant because yesterday OpenAI released image gen directly in GPT-4 4.0 in ChatGPT. So if you've been generating images in the past, they used Dolly 3, which was their old model, and you could that old model everybody knew it was AI generated. It kind of had this weird, almost like wax model, weird shadows, colors, highly contrast, saturated. But yesterday they rolled out native native GPT-4 image gen, and it's mind blowing. Like it's definitely the best image model that I've seen so far. It has consistency over the chat. So let's say you say, "Hey, generate a red fire truck with a two people in front of it, and then a tree in the back and sunny day." It'll generate that, and then let's say you want to edit that image. Previously, it was really hard to maintain consistency of that image. You can't just say, "Hey, add a dog in front of the people," because the whole thing would get regenerated and it wasn't context awareness from image to image. But now it's super cool. It's like you could just say, "Hey, put a dog in front of the two people, two firefighters in front of the fire truck," and everything would kind of stay the same. And then just put the dog there, and it's really good at doing text. So if you're creating ad copy or podcast art or any sort of stuff, I mean, it's really good. So
yeah, I put
if
it to the test this morning with I tried to make a header graphic incorporating a screenshot and then having a headline next to it.
oh
And like it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was the best I've ever seen. And what I was blown away by is it got the text on the screenshot right for the most part.
Mm,
So it was like, context aware. That was cool.
that's super cool. That's super cool. Like when these types of things come out, I mean, my head just immediately goes like, okay, well, it's not available yet in the API, but when it does become available, how do we integrate this into the flow? Um, it's like, can it be used? And not like overly, like don't force it into some feature that not doesn't need to exist yet, but like it's just cool to see that there's development and there's improvement there, and then that will trickle down into like kind of what we're building eventually at some point when priorities um, make sense. So
Yeah. The most interesting place I think from what people have been asking for is like episode cover art generation and having that be consistent with the um, podcast cover
mm,
art.
right, right, and I mean honestly, like we can do episode cover art generation. You have to think about like I don't know necessarily how you do it. Maybe you'd click that button and then you like click the episode cover art in the top left hand of the outline, and then if you want to generate an image, you can generate it there. If you want to upload an image, you upload it there. Um, because with the cover art for the podcast, it's just like if you don't add art, we'll generate one for you. It's kind of behind the scenes. You're not thinking about it. But for the episode, sometimes you don't want episode art. So it's like we shouldn't be generating that all the time. And then it gets a little expensive. Prices are coming down, but like it's if we generated one episode cover art for each episode, um, they'll add up. So uh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, there's the inside baseball of why it isn't available yet. It is very expensive, but yeah, I mean, all this stuff is going to zero, right? In theory.
yeah, right. And that's what's cool. It's like they get better, things get better, and they get cheaper. So it's like it's great. It's great for everybody. Um, so yeah, I think. Well, do you just want to share like what you've been doing? I think it'd be kind of cool. We don't really have new features to talk about today. Um, I thought it'd be kind of cool to go behind the scenes and maybe we can talk about like what you're actually doing, and I'll talk about what I'm doing, and just give a
Totally.
little insight into the roadmap.
Yeah, 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 yeah. A big part of my day in and day out is often support. We try to be super responsive. We're shooting for like within 10-minute response times. So usually people are blown away by that. But sometimes when the hands are full, doing other things. But the big part right now is up until this moment, we have grown entirely by word of mouth, entirely organically. People discover
Mm.
us online one way or another through YouTube videos.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, huge referrer. Um, so one big push is uh, we still see a lot of people who Google us and find us through Google. Um, but the percentage of people who are searching for, say, an AI podcast generator and the people who actually get to us from that search is a minority. So we're going to start experimenting with ways to try and attract those people through ads and through obviously increasing SEO as well. Um,
Right.
so just for those people that are super high intent and who are looking for like, if somebody Googles a notebook LM with custom voices, or if someone Googles AI podcast generator or AI podcast with my voice, things like that, they should hear about us. So that's
Totally.
one big push.
Totally. No, yeah. I'm excited because I've never really touched paid advertising, especially on Google. So I'm learning a lot from you and kind of what that will look like. I know we had some. It was interesting. It's like for a company that's so big as Google, there was issues getting the ad account set up, which is always funny. You know,
Totally. And yeah, it's wild when they schedule a call with you and then they just don't show up. And like
did they not show up?
they did not show up. And I had some friends inside who checked whether the guy was showing up on the Google chat and he was just away. So it's like he must have, he must have played hooky or something. Um, but but all good. Yeah, there's fun stuff with the big corporate giants. It's not as bad as Meta. From what I hear, reaching Meta support is near impossible. Um, yeah.
Well, I mean, reaching Jellypod support is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Let's go. And thanks, Franny. And
Just so people
um,
believe us. Here, I'm gonna thank you, Franny Ann. We're gonna show your comment real quick, just so people believe us. So you can see we're not making
it's
it up. We are on it. And we're talking like
yes.
if we're awake. If we're awake, that's the only time you're gonna get bad responses is if we're asleep. Which is I think is insane.
And then you get that AI responder, and then if the AI agent is like bad, then sorry, you have to wait. But hopefully it's decent. It's better than nothing, maybe. If it's not better than nothing, please let us know.
It's
Um,
confirmed. It's confirmed better than nothing. I look through the answers and I'm like, wow, that's better than what I would have done. It's annoying to get a response from an AI instead of me, but it's like it's exactly what I would have said half the time
right.
or 95% of the time.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, maybe one day it hooks into the back end system and it knows if we're having an issue, like just degraded service, or could look at it like the bug and be like, oh, that's the bug. And then it just triages it for us and then responds, hey, we have this bug and this is the issue. Uh, I'm paging Pearson right now. I'm waking him up.
Yeah,
So, and then I'm on it. Then
yeah.
we're
Just
fixing it.
never sleep again. Just go Pomodoro method. Sleeping in 15-minute increments, like every
Oh,
2 hours.
I remember when I was in undergrad, senior year, I was studying computer science. Jason and I both went to UCLA, and I was taking a class, and the professor was a lecturer, and he was a CTO of his company, and he was talking about like software engineering because software engineering is pretty different than computer science. It's one's more theoretical, much more like math, and computer science is that, and then software engineering is more of the application of that. And he was talking to the class about this concept of on call. I'm like, on call? What is on call? And his friend was like, yeah, when you work anywhere, there's going to be rotation essentially of an engineer who's on call, just like a doctor or somebody. When anything's going wrong, you're going to be paged at any time of the day for usually a week long like stint. And everyone's minds were blown. Like, wait, that's crazy. And that's the case. And
I'm working this
now,
hard right now for 4 years just so I get to be on call.
but now we're both on call all the time, so there's no sleep. But that's a little side tangent about if you're a software engineer or studying computer science and you're an undergrad and you're a student using Jellypod and watching this video, on call is a thing. So if you don't like that, too
Unless you
bad.
build super high quality software that's bug free 100% of the time.
Then you'd be the richest man in the world overnight.
Overnight.
Well, I'm looking at our explore page today. I thought that would be pretty cool to just to look at some of the ones that we were seeing. Um, this AI news summary. Have you seen the AI news summary? That podcast that
I
someone's
think I've
creating?
seen it show up on the explore page, but I haven't actually clicked into it.
Pretty cool. I mean, 41 episodes.
Oh, whoa.
That like they've been. I don't know who it is. Uh, there's no links on the podcast website. So I can't really go out and find it. I could do a little bit of investigation, but the AI news summary, it's a brief podcast that talks about the top AI news stories from the previous day. Uh, Comes out every day, 5 to 10 minutes long, and every episode has a new cover art, so they're putting it up. Um, Pretty cool. So, just wanted to shout out the AI news summary. Check it out on the explore page.
That is
Um,
cool. Yeah, there's just always so much cool stuff coming in. Um, what else? What else? What else? Got a case study out yesterday. Go on our
Nice.
YouTube, check it out if you want to. The goal is twice a week. We're going to publish a little video interview. This time it was I edited it down to about 10 minutes to make it easier to stomach because I realized 25 minutes of hearing us talk about whatever is can be a lot if we're just. I have a way of ranting. I've realized yesterday was a real introspective moment going through it. I just got too much jibber jabber, so I was cutting all of that out. But we have this really cool psychologist, Dr. Louise in Dubai. She's a positive psychologist, and the applications can be for personal, just like for life coaching, but also for for corporations and getting the most out of teams. So it was cool about hearing her. For her, what stood out, and if you watch the whole thing, you'll see how much she means it by the end. It's kind of a funny finish, but it's just the user experience for her. She loves the user experience. I don't know how other people who are watching this or who watch this later feel about it, but she's like, it is the easy. I think she called it the easiest effing thing she's ever done, and I think that's kind of a cool litmus test.
It is cool. That's awesome. I love it. That's yeah. Wait, so she's a positive psychologist?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
How's she using Jellypod?
She does research. So the research can be, dry, but really at the end of the day, I feel like for positive psychology, you're trying to make an impact on people's lives. So they're not going to be
Mhm.
combing through the studies or the applications. Just she feeds her research into Jellypod in her voice, and her words, not mine. Within 48 seconds, she is able to create a fun thing that is more digestible um, for her audience. And beyond just sort of, she's got two goals, which is cool. One goal is she just believes that science should be easier to understand, and it should be more like scientific insight should be more ubiquitous. And she believes that a big part of why that is not happening is because um, um, it's not happening because it's hard to understand. But secondly, she wants to have like a free asset to leave behind. So for corporations and whatnot, um, like she'll sell her services. She'll come in and have a long talk, or she'll be selling them some program. But this way, she has like an easy leave behind, an easy give to attract and kind of show what it is she offers.
Right. It's interesting. Like a lot of people ask me when I share that I do an AI podcast studio that like, oh, is this going to take over podcasters? And it's just always the same response. I mean, no, because you listen to a podcast because you want to listen to that podcast or listen to that person's what they want to say and who they're interviewing or whatever. And with Jellypod, it's like the content itself can be also interesting. It's just going to expand the pie because just like, what was her name again?
Dr. Louise Lambert.
Dr. Lambert just wasn't going to do this. Like it wasn't a thing that was on her radar and it's just net new. And this whole concept of remixing, kind of, you have something, you want to create it into other things. That's kind of right now you have source information, you have interviews, you have all this stuff. Can you remix into a podcast, into a video now that we have audiograms, and other things will come down the pipeline there? And maybe you could imagine where you remix it into horizontal video, but also vertical video. And so imagine you have your podcast, your 10-minute horizontal audio, perfect for YouTube, but also we give you 3 snippets from your podcast of like cool sound bites that are vertical, perfect for Instagram and Facebook or TikTok. And like it's easy. I mean, we're creating the audio. So that's like just a little bit of where our heads are at because why not do that? Our we win when the content you're creating is put as many places as possible, getting you eyeballs or what we like to call earballs. Um, but it's a no brainer. So it's cool because we help you grow your business, grow your marketing for something that's um, hopefully super easy to do and easy to use. So not a big learning curve.
Totally. And there's just like, I think to take that even further, I think just at the core of what we're doing is like democratizing information because information, but from the creators, is often in one format, in one style, in one tone, right? And only a certain set of people can understand it that way. But
Right.
by allowing this remixing, you make it so much more accessible. Um, like I think of books like Stephen Hawking's book, A Brief History of Time.
Mhm.
Incredible stuff, important for everybody to know. But I would hazard a guess that like less than 1% of the world has even heard of that book.
Mhm.
But it's, like such a discussing such universal concepts that everyone should understand. So you could see that one book becoming, you know, thousands of podcasts to tell that story in a way that lands.
Right, right, right. And not an audiobook. It's like, and it's uniquely different in that sense. But it's kind of cool what you brought up there about just taking that really dense, interesting, incredible book and then converting it over to a podcast or something more digestible. Blinkist, you know Blinkist.
Mhm.
So it's just for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, you just take a book and you get summarized down into 15 minutes, like the snippets, and you can consume the book in 15 minutes. I've always kind of felt like I was never attracted to that because if I want to read the book, the good stuff about the book are in the nuance and the way that sentences and how they're written. Like imagine just watching a movie rather than watching a movie, you just watch like a 10-minute YouTube video. I told my friend last night or the other day he hasn't watched the season finale of Severance. It's like, oh, you don't have to watch it. Let me just tell you what happened. And he was so pissed. It's like, I'll save you an hour. Um, and it's like that concept because I don't really personally like the summarization, but I like the remixing. Um, and so the content's still there, yes, but I think a lot. I wonder how many people who listen or read a Blinkist or sort of like summary of the SparkNotes version of some piece of media actually go then and watch the whole piece. But I want to say that in Jellypod, maybe you don't know what the source information is that created the podcast, but you're at least more interested in it because it wasn't something that maybe you even knew, like you didn't know about the information in the first place. It's kind of like removing the unknown unknowns, and now they're like unknown knowns. You kind of know that something exists, um, and maybe you go dive deeper into it and explore the topics. So that was my rant there about that. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, totally. No, I think the remixing versus summarization thing is such a um is exactly what we're doing.
right,
Yeah.
right.
How do you breathe something new into it?
Totally. I wanted to also shout out. I'm looking still at the explore page here. The What the Fact podcast. Brandon, if you're on the call, and Kyle, uh, they just completed 20 episodes. They, for anyone out there that didn't wasn't following along, the AI Salon is like a community of just AI enthusiasts and people just interested in learning about the technology changes that are happening right now. They created a new episode every other day or so. They just created 20 episodes. What the Fact, and it was bite-sized, um, bizarre trivia, and it was pretty cool. And it was like a unique. Uh, it was this really realistic female voice, and then a male host that was more monotone. It was kind of a unique dynamic that was actually intended. He wanted to be more monotone and more robotic. So um, yeah, that was cool. So shout out to that if you're interested in all the weird facts about things. Go check it out. What the fact? So
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. Oh, another thing that is could be cool, and if people want to participate in this, maybe a good shout here as well. But in addition to these case studies where it's a person and a person talking, I'm making an AI podcast called AI Reflections, where I'm using the guest clone functionality to invite guests onto the show and sending off a few questions and then getting back answers, instantaneously, just a quick, back and forth, and then turning those into, podcast like interview podcasts. So really trying to prove out this guest concept. So we got the first one completed yesterday. Really exciting. We're interviewing a YouTube creator focused on AI, And it was awesome. I mean, within minutes, I was able to create something based entirely on their thoughts, and really tap into that expertise. So if you'd
So
like to
what?
be interviewed, oh,
Oh yeah, yeah. So when you say that you interviewed that, so you created the link, the guest invite link in Jellypod,
yep. So
and then
in an email, I send them an email and I give them it's the guest link, and then I just come up with 5 questions that are like trying to tap into their AI expertise. They respond back with like, "Sounds good." They create the clone. I feed it into the outline, and then we got an episode. So the first one will go out on YouTube pretty soon.
mm, cool. I'm excited. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's
Ooh, this
interesting.
is cool. We got some comments here. Let's see. Oh yeah, you choose. Yeah, Franny. That's awesome. So she's. It seems like maybe you're a business professor, teacher, but she has students that are learning about. So she just said, "Hey, she's just preparing a podcast that does that's talking about doing business with the government and government contracting." Yeah, so, but remixing it into an engaging format with Jellypod. So cool. That's awesome for sure.
I'm loving this new show feature.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like the show feature also. I had something I was going to bring up, but for anyone that's just watching the video, what Jason mentioned what he was working on. He's working on the growth side. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask. So last night we were talking about guest clones and clones, and you wanted me to give it a listen. I'm curious, like what was the weirdness or interesting stuff that was going on? That would be interesting to.
Yeah. Clones are interesting because clones have the most variability. So professional voices and designs, I think, are like effectively have just like more content going into them. But a guest clone only has 3 minutes. So I think that clones, we see this all the time. Some people have clones and they love them and they're perfect. And they're blown away by how 3 minutes can get it perfectly. And for other people, it's got quirks, um, well, like an unnatural pause or something. Because oftentimes people will be recording their audio sample and they'll do a very natural or a pause or something like that, but it starts to accentuate these things. So if you say, 3 times in 2 minutes, it thinks you're an ummer. It's gonna be umming. So I'm an ummer, clearly. So it's things like that. And just people when you're recording something and you're doing like a one, you're just talking to your phone, it can be hard to be energized, right? Like right
Sure.
now, I'm more upbeat because I'm talking to you. But if this was just alone in my room, it would be more monotone. So then I hear myself play it back and I'm like, oh wow, that clone turned out really monotone. But then I play my audio sample and it's like, oh wow, that was pretty monotone too. So it's this funny game of doing cloning.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that like we talked about some ideas that we had about fixing this or just improving this. Some of them are we're not going to share today because we don't know what's going to happen or at what point it'll come. But we have thoughts. It'd be pretty cool to improve this experience and make it more of a conversation, and make it just a, a better experience for both you as the person creating the clone and also the resulting clone. So kind of excited about that, and hopefully the next few months that will be something that we get around to. There's a lot of stuff to get around to, but that might be pretty cool because that's a thing that people do a lot is cloning their voices.
Yeah. Some people, one person yesterday even asked, and this is wild, and but he was asking for like the cloning exercise, this conversation that you just mentioned of making cloning more interesting, like actually making that be the podcast, where it's like human and it's like the cloned audio and the discussion that happens is also recorded and turned into its own thing. So that's also wild. Um,
Right. It's a wild concept. I mean, you think about the platform that Jellypod is today, just like with any business, like you expand and you figure out what features people are looking for us to do, like what makes sense for us. We love customer feedback. So if there's a feature that you want or we're lacking or just to be improved, let us know. but it's our job to take everything that everybody's saying and understand where we want the company to go and the vision and the where we see ourselves in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, and take all that feedback and incorporate it in a way that allows us to reach that goal because we have a higher understanding of you know what's going to be the best for everybody on the platform, including you as the person suggesting some feature or thing. And so that's super cool when you're talking about this AI hybrid person thing. To start off with that is probably not the best place. Maybe for some people it'd be cool, but in the future, when people get more comfortable with creating podcasts using AI, does it make sense as a new thing to build on top of the foundation we're already laying? So if any of the competitors are out here watching the stream, because we talk about a lot of our roadmap and everything, I mean, uh, try to do it before us. So get some. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
But you can't hire us. I always tell Jason this. I'm like, I'm not super worried about other people doing similar things because you can't hire us. So
totally.
oh,
I've loved the metaphor that it's like everyone's flying a plane, and the chances of you bumping into that plane are slim, but the key
yeah,
is getting to the destination.
right,
So,
right,
yeah,
totally.
yep,
Well, I mean, we're at 10:30. We talked about a lot of stuff and not a lot of stuff at the same time. Um, but this is awesome. Always exciting to see
yeah.
a lot of people on here.
Oh, one thought I had on the feedback thing is, what makes feedback land even better is if you lead with the problem. If you lead with the core problem that you've got, it actually helps us incorporate that with other people's problems and make solutions that solve multiple problems at once versus just
Totally.
leading with the solution. Because leading this with solution is great if you've only got that, but,
Right,
the problem is almost more inspiring.
right. Right. Because it's easy to connect. It becomes more easy to connect the dots. Like what are you actually struggling with or trying to do, and what are other people trying to do as well? And is there a
Yeah.
solution that encompasses both?
And if we can solve 80% of that problem with 3 other 80%, we'll do that in a heartbeat versus getting 100% to some solution that might only solve your case.
Right.
So it speeds things up for sure.
Totally. Totally. Well, yeah, it's awesome. For everybody that just hopped on, if this is the first weekly Wednesday, it's great to meet you. Last week was launch week. We launched 5 new features in 5 days. Today was just a normal weekly Wednesday. If you want to check out what we released, there's still an announcement banner on our website at jellypod.ai. But we also have a product updates page. So if you scroll down all the way down to the bottom, there's a little button that takes you to a new page, product updates, and that has everything we've released. Anytime we release a new feature, it'll be in the product updates page. So if you want to just keep a track of our progress, what we've done, it's there. Now we also have a podcast on the product updates on Spotify. So if you just want to subscribe and follow that podcast, whenever we post a new blog post on our product updates, we'll have a small 2 to 4 minute podcast about the new feature. So subscribe to that. Be pretty cool. Dog fooding our own stuff
It'll also be on YouTube. There's a Made with
and YouTube.
Jellypod playlist. I think that's the one that has it.
Right, right.
And one thing that I feel like is worth shouting out is I just put the Discord link in the chat. So if you want to join our community, if you're listening to this, just look at the chat and there's a URL. There's this cool app called Discord. It's like a community messenger app, and that's where all the Jelly Potters live. People vote on features. People ask questions. If we're asleep and we're not responding fast enough on intercom, you could really light a fire by posting on Discord.
Yes, yes. Um, awesome. Well, I think that's perfect to wrap it up. Uh, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday.